Hello everybody, how are you today? I'm smiling extra big because this is going to be the metaphysical magician's manifestation of my reality. This is my origin story today. Why I got into this, why I'm doing this, how it all started, where I got my information from, and how I started digging deeper into the unknown depths that most people avoid. So I hope everybody's doing well today. Post solar solstice vibes, whatever, summer solstice vibes. So I'm going to get into my origin story today. I had to take some notes. I was working out, and there's something inside me that needed to get out today, and I got to share it with all of you. So, going back, 17-year-old Dan, me, not knowing anything about the world, or knowing from what I've been seeing in movies and TV and been told about the world. And this is right after September 11th, 2001, so a year after 9/11. Lots of fear in the air, lots of anxiety, lots of chaos, turmoil, kind of questioning everything going on in America. This totalitarianism kind of tiptoeing into our lives. Notices, of a red flag day or an orange day. We were on these high alerts all the time. A lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And all the adults didn't know what's going on either. They're all confused just as much as the kids, which was scary because usually you look up to the adults when you're a kid to give you the answers. And when the adults that are in your life can't give you answers, that's when you have to start digging deep on your own, right? So, 17 years old, my brother meets this guy, claims he used to work for the government, claims he used to work for Montauk Project, opened my eyes to all this stuff. Now, they kind of red-pilled me and showed me the truth, right? We started talking about interdimensionality. We started talking about child pedophilia rings and Satanism and big, powerful business people forming cabals and groups to do evil acts together and plot global destruction and all this other stuff, right? What really got me, though, was the child pedophilia rings. That fucking hurt. When you're 17 or 18 years old and you hear that children are being trafficked, tortured, raped, murdered, for ritualistic fashion or for egos of some elite group of people that are kind of shadowy and unknown to us, that is the ultimate conspiracy theorist, And that's why everybody starts going down that pathway. First it was 9/11, right? What the fuck is going on here? How did those buildings drop so fast? What is really happening? Why are we invading Afghanistan and Iraq? What is happening here, right? Then I heard about the child pedophilia rings. I'm like, okay, there's something deeper going on. What is happening here, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's something called the Franklin cover-up. It happened in the 80s. It was about a child pedophilia ring and a Catholic church working together with a political group to traffic kids all over the globe, kids of orphanages, kids that have no families, no one cares about them except the Catholic Church does apparently, and they are pimping them out to all these business people, right? When I learned about all this stuff, I tried to do what any other person would do. Scream it from the rooftops. Tell everybody I know. Try to get them aware. Think about this stuff. This is fucked up, right? If you can't agree that child molestation, rape, and torture and trafficking is fucked up, there's something wrong with you. And the majority of the people that I started to tell this stuff about would just say, well, it doesn't really impact my life directly, so there's not much I could do about it, and I'd rather not think about it. That's pretty much the majority of the answers, except for a select few people. Brian, I love you. All these conversations that we've had late at night kept me sane all these years and made me realize I'm not crazy. I just live in a crazy world trying to make sense of it. Anyway, so with all that stuff, it's like I was a sponge and I'm absorbing all this darkness with no type of protection, no shielding, no way to get rid of it. Depression, anxiety, darkness, despair. It rooted itself inside of my body, I was saying the other day how I felt like I was this tiny little light just engulfed in darkness with no way out for so long. And that was the beginning of it. Going back to my brother and this dude, they red-pilled me, but they were no better than the people they were telling me about. I'm not going to get into too many details, but they were trying to lead me down a path I did not want to go. I resisted that. And because of that, I became Satan. I became the devil to them. So the people that woke me up are the same people that were trying to use and manipulate me. And then I know about all this other stuff going on. All I did was retract in life. I pulled back hardcore and I just tried to internalize this and figure it out and get quiet and not show who I truly am, because when I talk about this stuff, it gets me upset. And when I talk about it to people and they don't get upset or they don't give a shit or they try to laugh it off, I take that personally, because this is the most evil thing you could do, is harm, rape, murder, molest children and cover it up, and nobody seems to care about it. You know, that hurt me at the core. What kind of world am I living in when people don't really care? When you tell your parents, or you tell your teachers, or you tell kids in school, and nobody fucking cares. Nobody cared. Nobody cared at all, you know? But when I started really looking into this, there's a documentary called Conspiracy of Silence. It's still on YouTube. It was not ever aired on the Discovery Channel. Somehow the tape got leaked and it got put online years and years ago. It's crappy quality, but it's worth a watch. It kind of gives you the insight, the testimonials of these kids, you know, witnesses experiencing all this stuff. And all these kids that experienced this stuff, they came forward, they tried to make a lawsuit. Lawyers start mysteriously dying. Suicides start happening, people just start dying or disappearing, and the FBI is threatening witnesses. The FBI is protecting the most corrupt, evil people, you know, like the Secret Service, like the bodyguards. They are the bodyguards for evil. So I realize there's pure evil in this world, right? Including the people that gave me this information in the first place. So if there is a polarity of pure absolute darkness and evil that can pervade and corrupt every sector of society, including religion, finance, banking, politics, socially, you know, everything is in this matrix of evil, and I'm like an outsider on the outside of it, looking in, but still having to be of that world, but not be of that world. And I realize that there's this pure evil and this pure madness that takes place. There needs to be pure light. There needs to be pure love somewhere. There has to be an opposite, you know? There has to be a complete opposite. We live in a dualistic universe of polarity. If there is a total dark black hole of negativity pervading our society, you know, there has to be something to contract that and make it into balance, or try to overpower it, right? Light and dark, all that stuff. I dived deep into the unknown. I started doing research, and everybody would call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm trying to look for the answers that aren't just given to us by the news media, aren't written textbooks, aren't put in through, you know, movies and TV through some sort of filter. I wanted to dive deep into ancient Atlantis, ancient civilizations, these monoliths and these structures that have existed way before, you know, we really what history is telling us we were capable of doing. There must have been some sort of greatness or a greater society or greater technology that helped us build, or help these beings or whatever they were build these societies and civilizations, you know? If they're using dark energy to manipulate all of us, then we have to start utilizing light energy to protect us. You know, in a world full of conformity and doing what everybody else is doing just to fit in, being authentic and being true and standing out from the crowd is really a rebellious act. And that's what I came to realize. And I pulled back from people. And some people tried to really get to know me, and I couldn't let them in. I still can't let some people in, because it made this group made me not trust anybody, even myself, you know? The isolation was overwhelming. And I'm sure at that time, if people knew me back then, I was very depressed, very dark, very negative, very confrontational with people, always looking to fight, always looking to stand up for people. So all these evil, corrupt men are either in on it, playing with the devil, doing this stuff, you know, being involved with these rituals, these you know, this evil that's going on, the kids, all that stuff. Either they're aware of it, or they're participating in it. And that hurts too, knowing that. How could you allow something like this, you know? And we're going to go back to why I feel a certain way about the certain thing, you know? Back when I first woke up to all this stuff, there was a doctor named Dr. Crowley that was friends with this group of my brother. And Dr. Crowley always talked about these things. And this is before it was a taboo and these things conversation came up, you know? She was a doctor. She was a licensed practitioner. She had family practice, and she started administering these things, and her patients were coming back with side effects that were not being described and horrible things and death. And she tried to speak up about it. She tried to warn against it. She tried to speak up to the Board of Health. She tried to talk to, like the practitioners and all the doctors and tell the patients, kind of screaming from the rooftops. She got her license pulled away. She was no longer allowed to practice medicine legally. So I knew about this 17, 18 years ago. And what she said is that it's part of witchcraft. These things are part of witchcraft. They're putting aborted fetal cells. They're putting all this weird mercury and unknown substances in these cocktails that we're allowing to be administered with an alcohol swab. So we make sure that we don't get an infection, but all the shit is in there. So you don't want us to get infected, but you want to give us the cocktail full of shit in our arms, right? Okay, I digress. Anyway. So she fought with the big pharma companies. She fought with the Board of Health. They took her license away, So, knowing about all that stuff back then, and then hearing about the forced thing 2 years ago or a year ago, no, absolutely fucking not. Nothing's going in my body that I don't want to approve. If I don't know what's in it, it's not going in my body. I'm sorry. That's just how I am. If I can't see the ingredients, or I can't see what the hell it's doing, or if the efficacy isn't as strong as they claim it is, like it has been shown to be, then I am not putting that shit in my fucking body. I'll tell you that much, But going back to the pedophilia stuff, this all goes back to the conspiracy theories thing. The first person that made me kind of more aware of this pedophilia stuff, it's not just in America, it's global, was David Icke. He started talking about a broadcaster who worked for the BBC his entire career since the beginning of TV and radio. He was a radio disc jockey. He was on TV. His name is Jimmy Savile. If you want to look into him, there's like thousands and thousands of victims that he has molested from all ages. Doesn't matter. It was kids all the way up to like 75-year-old women. He would grope, touch, force himself upon. And he was, the blessing was given to him by the royal family, and everybody loved him. And everybody was like, oh, that's silly Uncle Jimmy. He's just very affectionate, all that other stuff. But, after his death, all this stuff started coming out because they were protecting his ass too. So I just wanted to get all this stuff out today because it's like, it's hard to get lost when there's so much darkness, It's hard to get lost in the sauce. It's hard to get lost in the sauce. It's not hard. It's easy to get lost in all this stuff. It's easy to get lost into the pure darkness of all this stuff. And for a long time, I tried to just bury this stuff. I tried to just get a regular job and be a muggle and pretend like, I'm just like everybody else, but I never really fit in. And something was always missing. And something in me triggered this week when I had a call about trying to fit back into society and me trying to fit and find my place working-wise. And the more I talked to this lady, she got more and more frustrated to me because it's like, I didn't fit in. I won't fit into one clear-cut category for her to just stick me in a box and figure out like where I work. So she's getting angry at me. I'm getting frustrated with her. She's like, well, you need to pick something. I said that yesterday. You need to pick something. Well, I can't just pick something. At this point in my life, I've done so much. I don't want to just pick something, but I don't know. All this stuff has been coming back up for me to deal with and to release because it's been, inside of me for so long. I've been wrestling with this stuff for so long. And more things keep coming to light, and more people are awake than they have been, granted, 18 years ago, but there's still a lot more work to be done. There's still more awareness to spread. There's still more light to spread out there. And I'm kind of making everybody aware of all this stuff. Because if you don't believe in God, or you don't believe in good in the world, sometimes all it takes is for you to realize that there's pure evil in the world, to realize there has to be good too, That's what happened with me. That's my story, But going back to the darkness, I started researching into someone years ago who I'm sure you all know, named Aleister Crowley. He was considered the most wickedest man in the world at the time. He grew up in England. He went to Cambridge. He studied all types of esoteric stuff. He was into black magic, the occult. He created a temple order called OTO. He created his own type of tarot. He did rituals inside the pyramids. He contacted demons. If you listen to Led Zeppelin 2, all the echoey stuff, you hear all the echoey stuff in Led Zeppelin 2, that whole album. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, I forget which one of them, they bought Aleister Crowley's old house, which apparently Aleister Crowley did like a year-long ritual trying to summon some type of demon. And they wanted Aleister Crowley's house so they could record the music in that house with the reverberations, and the magic would work, and the black magic, let's say, would work, and they would get famous, which kind of did happen. But Aleister Crowley, one of the most evil people in the world, you know, is celebrated by celebrities. And he wrote a book, I forget what it was called, but it was all about using ritual and magic into dazzling the mind through dance and theater. And we see that all the time with music videos and movies, and the same kind of recurring occult themes, right? Checkerboard floors, you got the, you know, Boaz and Jacobin, two pillars that represent a gateway, the compass. You know, there's certain things that they put in society to make normalized, but it's really from occult spaces, you know. And Aleister Crowley was celebrated by Hollywood, by musicians, and you could even see him plain as day right here on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. If you search Aleister Crowley, that's probably one of the Google images that's going to pop up. So all these, you know, famous people worshiping this stuff, saying he's like a great, you know, leader. The Beatles loved him so much because he had such a bohemian lifestyle. And by bohemian lifestyle, they meant like he didn't live with the rest of society. He kind of formed his own family cult group in Spain in the later years of his life, where all he was doing was cocaine and having sex with kids and everybody in the group, you know? So it's weird how, like, if you pay attention to certain things, if you're more aware to this stuff, it makes itself more aware to you, you know? Well, I'm bringing all this stuff up because this is the reoccurring theme of my life, and I thought I should share it with all of you because this is what got me exploring the depths of my soul. This is what got me on my spiritual journey, because I realized I'm not about any of this stuff. I'm not about the evil. I am all about for protecting children. And it goes back to the ancient rituals of Moloch, Dagon, other Canaanite deities or deities that required child sacrifice, child torture. You know, that's really the root of it. And then it evolved over time. It became these underground things, mystery schools, hidden knowledge, hidden things, secret societies, you know, brotherhoods where they don't share stuff with the public, you know. What also got me at that time, I think a few years later, I learned about the Bohemian Grove. Now, the Bohemian Grove is in Northern California in a very heavily wooded area. It used to be called the Bohemian Club Society, where men would kind of use it to just get away and talk about esoteric things without their wives being there, just for men only. It developed into a political power play. So all politicians, all heads of business, all heads of media, sometimes religious people would go there, you know, and it was all secret in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, where they do a ritual in front of a giant stone owl, and they do something called the cremation of care, where they do a mock, we don't know if it's a mock or not, a mock sacrifice of burning a child to death. The burning of the child represents the cremation of care. They're not caring for doing the things that they do, right? To release the guilt of the evil that they do. And if you look into Alex Jones, he actually infiltrated it years and years ago. And that's when I saw that video that actually, you know, blew my mind open to all the underground stuff. And you hear about all different big names that go to this every year. Maybe not so much anymore because it's so publicized now. But every year people were going there. There's even a picture before, I think, Nixon was president and Reagan was president. They're both at Bohemian Grove, and that was where they decided that Nixon would run, I think. Don't quote me on that. But there's a picture of the Bohemian Grove with both of them. And if you listen to a recording, you could actually search this, of Nixon. He says that it's all like sexual ritual, homosexual magic. And he was like, it's the goddamn faggiest thing that I've ever seen. It's, you know, like he says something like that in the quote. But, so this stuff exists. You know, if you talk to any regular politician, I'm sure they would be aware of this. You have people in Hollywood talking about doing blood rituals and writing contracts in blood to get famous and rich. And nobody likes to talk about this stuff. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable. But you know what? It's something that should be talked about, because I think you should know who is evil and who you are worshiping as a false idol, when all their main goal is to just grab your attention and to grab your consciousness away from you. You know, you have to be aware of what you are putting into your body, whether it's through your mouth, what you are breathing, what you are seeing, what you are thinking about. You know, you have to be the filter for goodness, you know. So I know this got a little dark, it got a little weird today, but this stuff has been eating away at me for years. And I think like this is important to the spiritual journey, because you have to understand that there is ultimate darkness, but there is ultimate light to combat that darkness. And it's up to you to figure out how to tap into that light, you know? Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. It was a lot today. This wasn't the most positive message, I know, but with the darkness comes the light. After this, to balance this out, I'm going to be doing that summer solstice reading. That's going to be put up next. So thanks for being here, guys. Sorry to drop this, you know, burden on you. I need to share. I need to get it out there. I think about this stuff all the time. It hurts me to know that this stuff exists and nobody is there, or not nobody, but it's just hard to talk about this stuff with everyday people, you know? It's hard to bring these things up without triggering someone to shut down and not wanting to hear it. Everybody wants to bury their heads in the sand. And I can't blame them, because when I was younger, I wanted to bury my head in the sand too. But this is the time of awakening. This is the time to wake up. There's no more burying your head in the sand. You either wake up or you're going to have a very difficult time moving forward in this world. So with that, love and light. I love you guys. If you don't believe me, do the research on any of the things I said here today. David Icke, Alex Jones, Bohemian Grove, Aleister Crowley, performing rituals, Aleister Crowley in the Beatles' album. Aleister Crowley, who had a song written about him by Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Crowley, you know? Think about this stuff. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to do anything, you know, just think about this stuff. Perceive it. Digest it. Think about it. Think about how you want to live. Ask yourself, do you want to live in a world like that? You know, do you want to be a part of the change, or do you want to be a part of the things that have been going on forever? Have a good one. Have a good one. I know it's a lot that I gave you, but have a good one, guys. I love you. Thanks. Bye.